Alrighty, so T-54 top tier, no artillery on Stalingrad. Pretty similar comps on the teams. Oh, took its sweet time to load. Alright, so typically I'll head out east on Stalingrad in a medium. You don't necessarily have to go out to the beach. I think the beach is sometimes an overcommit. I think coming into this area over here, whether you're on this side or you're on this side, is a nice sort of starting spot, because you can at least get an idea of what if they're pushing in on this side, or you can at least peek out over here and pushing in on this side without overcommitting from that spot, because you can always come back from there. I don't really think it's a very solid play to ever play west in a medium, especially against a bunch of heavies and tank destroyers, because you always end up just basically poking and peeking against them, which is not usually in your favor. But you head west, so I guess we'll see. There are actually a couple places where you can sort of hold down here when there's no artillery, but I still don't think that that's good. The T-54 still has turret weaknesses that your opponent can exploit, and you want to try to avoid that. So a bunch of your heavies went K-line, which is not usually what you want to see, because that usually means that they're going all the way back there.
It's a trap!
And you're firing heat right now, and so the problem with heat is that you can't use heat to knock down these little walls. The positive side is you can use it to punch these guys in the face. You can probably shoot the turret a little bit, or the cupola a little bit higher there. Oh, that 112 is just greedy. A little bit more down. Like, you don't necessarily want to shoot that turret ring area. He exposed a lot of his hull, so you might as well get shots there. And again, you might want to consider switching to AP. Yeah, right into that shoulder there. Oh. So that guy's behind a little bit of the JT-88's behind a little bit of a hold down position. You can see. And your guy pulled out right in front of him. And if they're not going to shoot your turret, you might as well just sit there and just own that JT-88, right? You're wasting shot cycles right now. No need to pull forward and back. You just need, as soon as you're reloaded, you need to be shooting this guy. Make him prove that to you that he can damage you. You want to keep an eye right here, because this guy's about to go down, or at least be pushed. In the meantime, you just need to keep an eye on the mini-map. You don't need to like move your whole tank over there. They've got a you've got a 704 right there as well. So that's fine. That was an interesting push by the M103. And you sort of can push the flank here. It's a decent play. They've got, you want to avoid pushing right there. You'd rather push around over by where your M103 is. Shoot the turret. And then these guys seem reluctant to push forward, so you can, the Tiger 2 is going to die either way.
It's a trap!
Well, you're doing well so far. I mean, that's the nice thing is that you put yourself between these guys, so their team can't really shoot your guys quite as easily. Alright, and then you're probably, actually you can cap out if you want, but it might be a little rough. You want to check this line right here, and then just to get an idea of what they're sending back. You don't commit just poke out. Yeah. Oh, side turret. You definitely don't need people to pull dog. That is not something that you want to be a part of. You actually probably just want to bail off of here, because that guy's going to be hard to beat where he's at. You're also running out of heat. You need to switch to AP to conserve, because you're still going to have that ISH with AP. They sort of got you over the barrel because you're sort of a little bit too deep in your position. You need to fall back. Your guys are going to go reset. Use the corpse to block you from getting shot from the JP. And then I would push all the way. See where the 704 is going? I would go all the way down there. Go to your right. Like, there's plenty of time. You don't need to press here yet. And then right there, just shoot the track, right? Get the reset, and then you can decide what you want to do. You need to watch your rear right now. One of those. Thank you, IS-3. Unfortunately, your 704 YOLO'd a bit. So you actually probably just want to push here. Just take the chance. You're not really going to be able to do anything else. Oh, that is unfortunate, but it happens. You're going to have to push out someplace, so it might as well be now, because you need to clear your way out, otherwise your back is going to get exposed. Just go after the bulldog if you want. And you might as well load HE if that's what you're going to do, because you're running out of shells. If you're going to engage the waffle, right, it's shell management. But see, now how you're driving, you want to drive away from these guys. You don't want to drive towards them. That's why I felt like you should have driven towards the bulldog. And just hug him. Hug him. No, hug him. You need to be close to him. The closer you are, the better. Yeah, so that was fine. I mean, I think the problem here is probably that your team really didn't do enough damage. I still don't like coming to this west side, but I mean, you did a good job of dealing damage there. A couple of things is that there was that wall back there, and just be aware that you can't shoot heat through that wall. So you might want to switch to AP just to start knocking it down. Not necessarily for yourself, although if you can deal damage for yourself, it's fine. But that means that your teammates will be more liable to shoot down there as well. I felt like if you were in a heavy tank, you would have done much better. Just the problems of being in a medium tank were an issue here. With that JT-88, if he can't shoot your turret, then just make sure that you DPM him down, because you wanted to get that guy down as early as you can, because then you could have potentially put on a flank before your guys over here got sort of captured in that lane. And then you ended up getting pinned in this lane by the JT and the Super Pershing, which is not so good. And what you really wanted to be able to do was to get out of there and get around to the side. You didn't want to try to take on any of those tanks frontally. So just a little bit of playing your medium too much like it was a heavy, even though you did, really good damage, because a lot of them, you know, especially these guys over here, just allowed you to bully them, and if they do, then that's great. But you need to also recognize situations where you're vastly outgunned, like when that JT was hulled down over here and he was getting the super Pershing to spot you guys on that corner. That was going to be a very, very difficult option for you guys to play, and so it's better to get out over here. And then, as always, when you're surrounded by multiple enemies on multiple sides, you want to push out. Don't get caught in the middle between a bunch of different guys. Push out at one side, ideally whichever side is weakest or whichever side is closest to you. That allows you to turn around and keep all the enemies in front of you, rather than constantly being surrounded. And the other thing is that get next to that waffle. The waffle's got limited depression. If you just side saddle him, he can't really shoot you effectively at all, and that also minimizes, because you know, again, this was the whole reason why you needed to push out at that bulldog rather than around this corner at this ISA, because you know that these guys are coming around through this side over here, so they're going to get shots at you if you try to leave then, whereas they weren't going to get shots at you if you tried to leave earlier. All right. So if we look at the stats, yeah, you didn't get a whole lot out of your team. And the other thing is shell management. You know, when you carry AP, heat, and HE, you need to use the HE against that waffle. Even if you have to, you know, the T-54's got a relatively short load. Even if you have to drop a shell, you know, just drop an entire reload cycle to switch shells to HE, it's worth it to shoot the waffle in that situation, because if you wanted to have any chance to win there, you needed to make every single shot count. But can't complain about, you know, almost 8k damage. That's not that easy to do, so on that sense it was very well done. GG, nice try. I will send you a code through the official forums. Alright, and the next one is an IS on Erlenberg. And I can hear the countdown timer before the game even loads in. Alright, let's see, it's a +1 game. Oh man, you got a lot of tank destroyers. You can play this 9-line. I don't know that you should really do that in an IS, especially since they have a lot of speed. You might be better off playing the West in this case, just because otherwise you're going to struggle, especially if they put like their mediums on this hill right there, because they're going to be able to pin you, and it's not going to be really easy for you to get good shots on them. You can also potentially play up through the middle, but I think playing up through the middle is really difficult for most people. It's something that we always used to do in organized plays, have, depending on which side you were on, you could play different areas of these ramps, because these buildings actually provided good cover as long as they had supporting fire. But that is not the case in a pub match, so it's fine. And then when you come over here, you want to be sort of where you're at. You don't want to be, you just don't want to be in this H line. You could technically be in the J line, but I would be in the south half of the J line when you go through there. And that's just so that if their scouts actually go to do scouting, again, which doesn't really happen too much in pub matches, you want to be in a position where you can avoid being lit there. That's fine. They're pushing their light tanks up there. You can actually counter that by going into this area right here. I think you're stopped a little bit far back. I don't think that you should be that afraid of light tanks. You want to try to get into position to deal some damage here before a lot of their guys are really doing anything. And you are this is not a position where you can do anything from. So you got a bunch of guys back here, which is not really that great, but you can still push up here. Like, there's nothing stopping you from pushing up. There's 2 light tanks there.
It's a trap!
You need to push up a little bit, especially when you see your guys. Your guys are going in. And you can get that SP1C by just ducking out here real quick, getting a shot, and then pulling back. Don't.
It's a
You
trap!
can do it. So one of the things that you want to do, especially see where your charioteer is at. He's not in a very good position, particularly for artillery. So artillery can hit him. So if you can get around it, I would still try to get that PZ-1C, or now the Tiger, out as best you can. And you need to be careful of not backing up too much, because otherwise the GW Tiger is going to be able to hit you. You have an ELC behind you, but it's not that big of a deal. And you need to be careful how much you back up, because again, the GW Tiger. Your IS-3 is pushed in behind these guys. And again, you're not moving yourself in a position where the Tiger 1 can't shoot you. All you're doing is moving yourself into a position where somebody else can shoot you. So if the Tiger is going to shoot you whether you back up or not, you might as well be safe from everyone else. Your Tiger 1 just got hit by the GW Tiger P. And then you actually need to push up through here behind into where your IS-3 is. Your IS-3 was brave, but unfortunately now you don't have much backup because all of your guys died sort of before he was in position to really help them. And so the JT-88 is no longer a threat. He's out of your, he's no longer a problem for you. You want to be able to push this Panther right here. And this, just go. And it's a little bit risky because of the GW Tiger P. And again, you need to be more concerned about getting shot by the GW Tiger P than by the Panther. The Panther, getting shot by the Panthers, it'll sting a little bit. Getting shot by the GW Tiger P, that's gonna hurt. And so you're spending a lot of cycles here where you're loaded, but you're not actually getting any shots. And so you always want to be moving to position yourself so that as soon as you're reloaded, you can shoot. And you can push to the back of this house if you want.
It's a trap!
And it's fine. Being on this slope is fine. You're still going to need to push out here because you've lost the east. It's just a matter of time. No, it's just a Panther and a T-20, and the Panther is one shot, and the JT-88 won't be able to stop you if you get through on that flank. So all you're doing is you're giving these guys enough time to get into position where they can be a problem. There's nothing stopping you from pushing these medium tanks right here. Your charioteer is going in now. And see, like, in that time, like, that charioteer went in there, like, you could have been there. And you'd rather shoot the Panther than the T-20, and you want to try not to get proxy spotted by the T-20. Just push the JT-88. Screw the T-20. Screw the T-20. Screw the T-20. No! It's like, if you were going to push the T-20, you didn't need to go... Oh, you got the snapper. Yeah. If you're going to push the T-20, there's nothing stopping you from pushing that T-20 in the front. Nothing stopping you at all. And then now you want to get to the flank of this guy, right? This is one simple 1-2s, 1-2s. He's giving it to you. Take your time there. But that's fine. Keep pushing forward. Just keep pushing forward. Keep pushing forward. Don't stop behind him. Just keep pushing forward. No, don't get close. Alright, and then get close to this wall again so you don't get hit by the GW Tiger P. At least they didn't try to camp out on you. That IS-3 tried. I'm surprised he stayed alive for as long as he did.
It's a trap!
And so you know the GW Tiger P is out here, so you can play probably the inside of this wall a little bit, but you gotta be a little bit careful. Oh, maybe he's over here.
It's a trap!
You don't want to just let him proxy you against this wall. That's definitely what you do not want. No, comet's coming behind you. Shoot the comet. Nice try. So anyways, I think coming to this west side is fine, but you played it really, really passively. You stopped right here. You know that they had a T-37 and an SP-1C up here. But you just kind of sat back here. You didn't move up to here. It would have been totally safe for you to move up to right there, and you could have gotten a free shot on that T-37 as he went up. You also could have kind of pushed out there, or at least spotted those guys over here like you eventually did. Once your IS-3 pushes into this area right here, too many of your teammates had died. I mean, your team came up through this J1, H1 area, which is not the best. At least you don't want 5 guys coming up through there. You'd rather play strong through this 1-2 and have 1 guy over here than have 5 guys over there and 1 guy on this line. The charioteer pushed up, which is the right move, but you guys didn't put enough pressure on like that Tiger 1 that was sitting there. That was not a very good player. That SP-1C was not a very good player, and it wasn't really until the IS-3 pushed in back here that you guys really broke that as a team. And then there is just a little bit too much pussyfooting, especially when you have a high tier heavy in front of you. You want to be up with him. You want to be working with him. It's the IS is not really a sniping tank, and especially when they're super vulnerable, right? Like they had the Panther T-20 up here. The JT-88 was holding the IS-3 back. I don't know exactly how or why, but he was. So that's fine. You can argue that the IS-3 couldn't push forward, otherwise the Panther and the T-20 could have shot him on the side, maybe. But there wasn't anything stopping you from pushing that Panther, who was at that point 1 shot, or the T-20, who would have struggled a little bit. It wouldn't have been super easy for him for the T-20 to pen you. But instead, you took a circuitous route where you drove away from your IS-3, and then you came around this way. And then you came up here, and in that time, the Panther was killed by your T-25/2 that came through the middle, and the T-20 was able to just get free side shots on your IS-3, just free. Just set him on fire and was just like, oh, nobody's stopping me. And why was nobody stopping him? Because you abandoned your IS-3. And you eventually killed the T-20, which is great. But, I mean, you wasted so much time coming around over here where you could have just done the exact same thing by pushing that T-20 and killing him. You also could have flank that JT-88. That's also an option. But in that case, because the IS-3 was backing off because the T-20 was given side pressure, attacking the T-20 first is fine. And then it's just 1-2s, 1-2s, 1-2s. And in that particular case, their team ISO'd themselves a lot, but you didn't really take super great advantage of it. And then by the time your IS-3 went down, you had already lost the other side, and so it was a little bit of a moot point. And you guys tried to come back, but they just had a little bit too much health on the board at that point. But I think that if you had cleaned up this west side a little bit more efficiently, you probably could have done it. If you could have kept that IS-3 alive and healthier, that could have made a huge difference in the game. It would have been nice if your, what was it, a bulldog or whatever it was, had gone and actually looked for artillery instead of puppy dogging. But that'll happen. You could have just pushed in, killed the Panther, and then backed off, and then just literally just pushed in on the T20 if that's what you that's how you wanted to play it. But what you really needed to not do was leave your IS-3 and allow that T20 to just get free shots into the side of your IS-3, because you basically allowed them to 1-2 your IS-3, and your IS-3 was just boned at that point. So if you look at the stats, you did 4.4k damage, fantastic, tier 7. Your IS-3 did 4k damage. He lived a lot longer than I thought he would. That move where he split the defense to go into the middle of the 2 line was risky, but it paid off. A large part because their guys on that 2 line were pretty bad. You didn't get a whole lot out of the rest of your team, unfortunately. But them's the breaks. I really still felt like you could have won that at that point, though, if you had potentially kept that IS-3 healthier. But GG, nice try. Efficient shooting, this is always good. I will send you a code on through the official forums. Alright, and the next one is Centurion on steps. Alright, Sterg. Thanks for letting me know, although I'll probably forget that. Alright, let's see. Tier 9. Oh man, apparently I forgot the clan icons on in here. So top tier, 1 mid-size artillery. They're a little bit faster than you are, at least with the T-54s. So the T-54 matchup is going to be tough. I would still come to this east side here. You can play the mid plateau or you can play the low plateau, but what you're doing is you're getting yourself in position depending on what hopefully if your light tank spot. Light tanks can spot down these lines pretty easily, and what you're trying to do is just figure out what they're sending there. So you want to get yourself in a position where you can move forward if they don't send much, but that also gives you a path to retreat if you see both of the T-54s and what's going on with my if you see like both of the T-54s and a bunch of their heavies pushing in there. And so that's why I don't like pushing over here, because once you're over here, you're a little bit committed, especially in a tank that's a little bit slower, like the Centurion 7-1. So you see one T-54, which means the other T-54 is probably also in the neighborhood. There he is. So they have 1 low, 1 high, so this is not a good configuration for you. See how their IS-6 is there as well? That's also not good for you. Get a shot on T-54, T-54.
It's a trap!
There shouldn't have been any hesitation. If you can deal high tier damage, you deal high tier damage over low tier damage. So they push both of those guys down, they're going to push in here, right? And so this is the problem with being on this middle plateau, is that it's going to be difficult for you to, unless they completely abandon the mid lane here. So you need to back off. Like your entire team needs to back off. Because you guys have basically sacked this over here. Man, you almost got toasted. There's no reason for you to stay over here at all. There's going to be no good shots here. And you're going to just be open to arty. You do have a T-95. Alright, well your T-95 is committing here, so if the T-95 goes, you're pretty much toasting it. No, don't stop there, T-95, go down! So what you want is that T-95 to play the front.
It's a trap!
And then that forces the T-54s into a decision, right? They either have to push him to flank, in which case you guys can have cover fire support. Or, you know, they have to get shot by the T-95. Unfortunately, it does not look like you're winning on the other side either, so that is potentially a problem. And you'd rather play on the other side of this FCM. The FCM is big enough to cover you. Good shooting on the T-90 on the KV-5. The KV-5 also, I'm sorry, the T-95 also would like to go on the other side of the FCM. See how the side that he's going on makes him vulnerable to artillery.
Enemy armor is damaged.
And that's all you're doing is protecting the T-95's flanks. If the T-54, I would trade for that. That's a good trade, especially if you can track him up there.
Enemy armor is hit.
So now the IS-6 is coming, so now you need to be a little bit more careful. There's a T-54 behind you. Pay attention. This T-54 is one shot.
Lost the track. We're stuck here.
Oh, that's a good shot. Good job. And again, it's important to keep these guys off of your team's flanks. Take that hit. Take that hit to take out the gun.
We damaged them.
Luckily, artillery no longer seems to be shooting over here. Your Tortoise is pushing up on one side, so they're going to try to push around on his flank once he gets up. See that T-54 where he's going?
Ready to fire.
Get him down. There you go.
Enemy vehicle destroyed.
You got hit by artillery, but them's the breaks. Unfortunately, your T-95 now is backing off, which is not so good. And then, so in this situation, right, if your tank destroyers push these guys, right, and then it's your job to protect them.
Unlocked. Got him.
It's a good shot. And then you need to be careful here. There's a guy behind. Oh, nice. GW Tiger P took him out. And then just push back towards your base. Them's the breaks. Don't worry about the Tiger P. You need to clear the base ASAP.
It's a trap!
Penetration.
You still need to clear the base ASAP. Like there's no other question. Your Pershing is coming back, which is good. And then you don't want to go over the top here. You want to go around over on this side.
It's a trap!
Gotcha.
Nice shot. Luckily, artillery cannot hit you. Your Pershing drove into a flank, which is not so good. He's gonna try to hide behind that building right there, so you can shoot him. Oh man, he got ammo racked.
Enemy armor is hit.
Your E-75 is coming back as well, which is fine. Push out, push out. Push out. Because you don't want your E-75 to get flanked over there. It's just a 1-2 situation.
It's a
34-1.
trap!
Enemy armor is damaged.
And then you still want to move out of your position right now, so I would move over to this A line over here.
We're done for. Everyone get out.
Because otherwise RT's going to just... He's been shooting at you. Them's the brakes. Anyways, if you're over on this side over here, there's a slope there that you can use to help you get already safe. There's no real reason for you to go over the top on somebody. It's just you're exposed. You're exposed. Like if this Tortoise was closer, your Tortoise could shoot you. There's a lot of direct and indirect fire that can hit you. If you go on this A line, you get the exact same shots that you had over there with much less exposure. And unfortunately, now your E-75 is going to get 1-2'd. VSAD. And that's a situation where I felt like your tank destroyers could have done a little bit better over here if they were just more aggressive. They just needed to push that plateau. Their guys were really vulnerable there. I'm not entirely sure why they pushed into that area right there, but unfortunately you didn't have anybody on that mid plateau to actually do anything about it. So in general, I mean, I think coming over here was fine, but I think coming up here was an overcommit. That's something where you could have been counter pushed really easily because you didn't really have anybody behind you. Their team was a little bit too slow. All right, they eventually pushed the FCM, but by the time they got the FCM down, the T95 was already up. So that's too slow. And so the T95 sort of pushed out over here, which was okay. And at that point, all you got to do is just prevent him and the Tortoise from getting flanked. But they needed to be more aggressive as tank destroyers, especially as ones with armor. Force the enemy to try to flank you, and then make sure that you can counter the flank. You know, you should already expect that to happen, right? It's not a question of you know, are they gonna, you know, either that or they're going to sit there and trade frontally with the tank destroyers, which again, you know, is to your advantage. And then otherwise, I just really felt like the position that you're in, whenever you're coming over the top of these hills and you have to come over on top of somebody, that's always a bad position to be in, because you're always going to be the one to get shot. And it's the same thing along this whole line, and that's why when on like an encounter, for example, it's really easy if you control this entire east side to do it. But if you only control one side of it, it's really easy to shoot these guys that come over the center hill here. Anyways.
One of our tracks is damaged. Track hit. The commander is knocked out.
And so if we look at the stats, there. Yeah, unfortunately you didn't get quite as much as you needed to out of the T95 or the Tortoise. I don't think pushing east with slow tank destroyers is usually that good anyways, but they could have potentially made it work. You did a pretty good job though. You're pretty efficient with your shooting. Which is good. It's just that sort of little micro positioning, and this is my complaint with a lot of these replay reviews, is that people put themselves where they can shoot whatever enemy they're tunneled on at that moment, and that's fine, but you need to think a little bit more defensively. It's kind of like that IS game that we just looked at on Erlenberg. If you're going to get shot by the tank that you're dueling with anyways, let him shoot you. It doesn't matter whether he shoots you from 50 yards or 70 yards, but you moving back those 20 meters, let's keep it all metric. If you move back that 20 meters, you're going to expose yourself to other fire. And so it's not necessarily the guy that you're facing up against that you're scared about. You should always be thinking about who else has good shots on me if I do X. And how do I minimize my exposure by going, you know, and have the same shots, you know, the same quality of offense, but have a much better defense. And that's one of the things that I think that I do well as a player, is that I'm pretty good defensively. Even though I'm more aggressive than most players that you guys see in pubs, it's not super easy to kill me for the most part, because I don't overexpose myself in a lot of places. Well, I don't needlessly overexpose myself too often, and that's something that I think that everybody needs to work on in general. But GG, nice try. I will send you codes.